Do.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first event in Signal, a new dedicated series of discussions and interactive demonstrations focused on cutting-edge technology, creativity and music, featuring artists, educators and creative thinkers. The series is run as a collaboration between ourselves, Science Gallery Dublin, and Martin Clancy, a music researcher at the Trinity College Dublin Longroom Hub. Martin is a certified Ableton Live trainer with over 30 years professional experience as both a music producer and an industry professional, and he has co-curated the Signal series of talks, discussions and events with us. With the CEO's February deadline fast approaching, we wanted to kick off Signal with a special event aimed at those considering pursuing a career in music or wishing to gain a deeper insight into further education in music and music technology. Here's Martin to explain further. Enjoy the day and check out our website for more events of this series.
Hi everyone. Today we're honoured to have an esteemed panel drawn from Ireland's leading music institutions. We have heads of schools, we have electronic composers, rock producers, classical conductors, as well as an array of musicians from all genres. We have many of the actual authors who have designed and created the degrees and diplomas being presented here today. We have people from the world of the music business, and we also have people from the world of music technology and the academy too. While each of the speakers and institutions focus on unique aspects of the world of music, what unites all of the presenters today is a shared passion, dedication and enthusiasm for the education they each provide. I have no doubt you'll get a glimpse of that today. So today's format is very simple. Each institution will give a strictly adhered to 5-minute talk, and after these presentations are finished, we open the floor to questions from the audience, and then I'll show you, we'll go next door to the studios where you can have a kind of one-to-one opportunity to actually talk to them, which is a really great opportunity. So thanks for coming this morning, and we'll start with our first speaker. I'd like to introduce Dr. Kieran Crilly, Assistant Professor of Orchestral Conducting and Artistic Director of UCD and Astra Academy of the Performing Arts. Dr. Kieran? Yeah.
How you doing? Just a couple of words about the degree programme in UCD. This is basically from the perspective that shows you what courses you're taking through while you are doing the music degree in UCD. What this doesn't mention are the various pathways that you can take. There's a restructure at the moment. They're introducing a new pathway in UCD called a Bachelor of Arts in Humanities, which you start off doing a combination of music, film and drama. And so you can start off in a general Bachelor of Arts as a major with another humanities degree, or you can take music as a major with another minor. You can also, one of the unusual ones is there's now a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology that you can take with music as a minor. Then the new course that I just mentioned, the Bachelor of Arts in Humanities for Music, Drama and Film. And then what you can do then, following the first year of any of these degrees or the third year, you can then transfer onto a pure music B-Mus. So you can do 1 year of a combination of major minors or the BA Humanities course, and then transfer across to a pure music B-Mus after that. At the end of 3 years, you can also do this. You can do a 3-year BA degree and then transfer and do an extra year of B-Mus, which is something that a lot of people choose to do, especially when they're thinking about further study, especially from an academic scholarly point of view, to do something like an M.Mus, Masters in Musicology. But this is the basic setup of the degree programme. It's the streamlining of UCD's registry, what they like to think of this way of engaging with principals at the first stage. So you do theoretical courses, such as Introduction to Music and Writing about Music, Music Culture Society, and also Theory of Musicianship. And then deepening your understanding with other courses such as Music History, also Formal Analysis, Musics of the World, Studies in Irish Music. Then in the third year, where you go on to refine your knowledge with courses including you can take a recital, you can do a dissertation, You can attend, there's a regular seminar on musicology, topics in ethnomusicology, courses on the symphony, the concerto, European culture, blues and jazz, and music in early modern Europe. Just to say that in terms of specialisations, we have 8 staff in UCD at the moment. There are 2 ethnomusicologists specialists. We have 4 musicologists specialising in early music history, 20th century music history and opera, classical and baroque music, and finally we have a new member of staff who's just joined us this January, Tim Summers, who is a specialist in music and media, music for film, games and television. And then we have 2 performance lecturers, myself and my colleague Desmond Durley, who is the conductor of the Choral Scholars. And that kind of leads into one of the things that is not mentioned in this streamlined background to the degree programmes in UCD is the performing groups and scholarships that are available. There are 4 major performing groups in UCD that can all be taken for course credit, which are the UCD Symphony Orchestra, which is around 85, 90 members, the UCD Philharmonic Choir, which is around 120 members, the UCD Choral Scholars, which is around 18 members, and the Gamelan Ensemble, which is in and around 15 to 25. So all of this can be taken for course credit the whole way through the degree. And in fact, you can take these courses for credit regardless of the subject you're studying. So as director of the orchestra, I oversee a group which consists of approximately 30 medical students, around 25 of whom the whole way through their degree are actually getting course credit for this. In addition, there are 3 main scholarship streams. I'll mention the orchestra one first, just to follow on from that. We have scholarships for around 20 students. So out of the 80 that we have in the orchestra, we have 20 on scholarships, and normally we have 40 to 50 who are actually taking the orchestra as a course elective or module. The choral scholars, there are 18 scholarships for these, which are a little bit higher. The orchestra ones start at 500 and go to 750. The choral scholars ones start at 750 and go to 1250. They're a little bit more time intensive. And then finally, another thing that I oversee, which is the UCD Ad Astra Academy for Performing Arts. We have 20 scholarships on that at the moment, divided between music and drama. Currently, the split is 12 music, 8 drama. The remuneration for that is approximately $3,000 a year. So this is a very, very substantial scholarship, and what we're looking for from the students on this is really a contribution to the musical life of the university, and that's pretty much it. So, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ken. Thank you very much, Kieran.
Thank you.
I'd like to introduce next Ken Horton, Programme Director for the BA Honours in Music Production at Pulse College.
Okay, we deliver a 3-year BA Honours in Music Production at Level 8. We are fortunate enough that Pulse College and Windmill Lane are actually housed in the same building, and this is our Studio 1, where our students initiate their training in all things recording and production-wise. The course is very practical based, it's very dynamic, and it's very inspirational. We are delivering the course with a view to students becoming professional practitioners in the music production and recording industries. One of the main advantages that we give to our students is that our facilities are open 24/7. So the students have access to the Mac labs and the various recording studios that we have in the building. There's another photograph of our Neve V series, which you get to train on. The lecturing staff and the tutors are all both academics and industry practitioners. We're fortunate enough that we get a lot of guest lecturers and adjunct lecturers who work internationally and nationally on seminal albums. So the idea for you as a learner is that you, by completing this program, you're in a position to work perhaps at some point in your career on very inspirational albums. To give you an overview of the program, we would have a very broad view of what music production is, not just somebody who's working in a recording studio. Maybe it's somebody who's involved in radiophonic work. Maybe it's somebody who's involved in sound design. Maybe it's somebody who's collaborating with theatre directors, composing music for films, maybe composing music for games. As part of the training, to facilitate all of those points, a lot of the tutors are industry trained in the three main pieces of software which are becoming the industry standard: Pro Tools, Logic and Ableton. To give you a quick overview of the type of modules that you would cover typically in first year, we'd have things like music technology, applications technology, recording studio principles, and then there's slightly more academic modules, explorations in music, exposing the learners to the whole broad palette of music: classical music, jazz, blues, world music, etc. And something like history of music production, where we would look at the seminal music producers from the 1940s up to today, anything from Phil Spector, Brian Eno, George Martin, etc. Second year then is we're getting into a more profound appreciation of the technology and using the technology in a more creative and expansive way. The one module I would like to point you to is the Professional Client Project, which runs over the third semester from, say, April through until late August. This gives the students and the learners the opportunity to develop their own client projects. So you go and find a band, you work with a film director, you work with a game designer. And again, these modules are credited as part of the degree. By the end of second year and into third year, students are able to work in the surround sound studio that we have in Studio 3. Again, third year, there are the modules there. Again, in third year, we have a summer semester Climb project. And there is the live area in Studio 1. Just finally then, so why should you think about choosing this program? Well, it's an opportunity to collaborate with other creative industries, and we are looking for people who are interested in becoming the next generation of creative music producers.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ken. I'd like to introduce, thank you, Ken. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Orla McDonough, from Head of DIT Conservatory and Music and Drama. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if this is working. Let's see. Oh, there we go. I just had to press it really, really hard. So I'm from the DIT Conservatory of Music and Drama, and it's very exciting to see all these people in the room who are very interested in studying music in Ireland in these next couple of years. Basically, wow, I really can't get this to work. Oh, there we go. Wait, go back a bit. Yes, okay. So what is a conservatoire? A conservatoire is a place where you would focus very specifically on excellence in performing arts. And we in the conservatoire have both music and drama degrees. But I'm just going to talk about the music degree this morning. There's an emphasis on one-on-one learning and teaching, obviously with your instrumental or vocal training. Most of our degrees contain three parts: your solo performance, your ensemble, and then your supporting academic studies, which would have the typical academic modules that you would normally see in a music third level institution. We do a huge amount of performing. We have about 150 events every year. Our ensembles, depending on the year, go out and travel to across Europe and to the UK particularly to perform. Our harp ensemble, for example, is off in the UK a number of times this year. And the real difference with a degree like this is that it needs a huge amount of commitment in terms of your practice schedule. So if you're involved in a performance degree, you're going to be spending a huge amount of time with your instrument. We're doing rehearsals and working on a lot of collaborative projects basically that are very practical.
We have a lot of undergraduate programs, but two that I'm going to speak about this morning are the main BMUS DT 501, which is our classical and trad performance degree, and then our BA in commercial modern music, which we run in collaboration with BIM, so that's our rock and pop degree basically. So there's approximately 100 students on our DT 501 degree, and there's approximately 600 students on the BIM degree with us. These are some of the other degrees that we have. It's a very vibrant environment in the conservatory. We've got approximately 350 students just on our own location who are all actively involved in research and performance. Our ensembles, just a small list there, I'll let you read them away, but the collaborations down at the bottom is the real essence of DIT. For example, we had an opera performance in the National Concert Hall on Monday night that was directed by one of our drama professors, that was coached by one of our vocal professors, and then that was produced by one of our musicology professors. So there's a huge amount of interactivity happening in the conservatory. Realistically, we have a huge number of teachers. We have 124 staff in the conservatory that teach all manner of different instruments and subject areas. So you have a lot of people that you can receive a lot of support and advice from if you decide to study with us. The facilities that we have at the moment, many of you will know that DIT has been moving to Grangegorman for a very long time, but we actually are going to be in situ by September 2020. So anybody who starts the degree this coming September will spend their first 2 years in our current facilities, which are these ones, all over the city, in Rathmines, Chatham Row and Kevin Street, and then will finish their third and fourth year up in the Grangegorman campus. That's a little snapshot of the building that we're going to be in. And then huge performance opportunities, obviously. Realistically, and I would say this is probably true of anything you do wherever you go in college for music, that the opportunities available to you are there. Your experience in college will come from how you take advantage of those opportunities. And as professors, we are all looking forward to seeing people rise as much as they can and take advantage of everything that we can offer you. So I think that particularly in what we can offer, in a sense, with our Research Foundation for Music in Ireland and also the practical side, is something for somebody who's interested in studying both performance and doing more traditional research. Those are the requirements, just so you know. You will audition through a process, which I have a little piece of paper on I can give you at the interactive session afterwards. But the minimum points for last year were 450, and what happens is when you audition, your audition results then get added on to your points, and then that's how that works within the CAO. So, good luck. It's a fantastic opportunity for all of you to be choosing where you're headed next year, and I wish you the best of luck.
Very good. Thank you all. It's great. Okay, thank you all. And next we have Cormac Bennett from Trinity School of Creative Arts. Cormac stepped in the last moment to take care of somebody who had the flu, so thank you very much.
Yeah, as Martin says, I'm Cormac Bennett, and I've kind of stepped in because there was a bit of a sickness in the department, so this is a last-minute presentation. I don't have a fancy slideshow for you, but I'm just here to tell you about the music undergraduate course in Trinity. I'll mention the master's courses we have as well. So to start with the undergraduate course, in Trinity almost all courses are for 4 years, so the music course is, of course, a 4-year course. It's essentially a classically focused course. It's originally kind of based on classical music, but in more recent years we started to branch out a little bit. Now what this means is that for the first 2 years of your course, which is the kind of core content years, you will sit modules that are very classically oriented in nature. There are 6 main modules that you take in the first couple of years. There would be an oral training module, which is all about developing your ear so that you can listen to music in the best way possible. There is harmony, counterpoint, and music analysis. These modules are all about developing how you think about music and how you listen to and understand music. The emphasis is very much on having a deeper understanding of how music is actually constructed, and we teach that using classical music as a basis. There's a music history module, which takes in the entirety of music history from Greek times, even earlier than Greek times, right up to present day. And there's also music technology core content in the first couple of years, which is familiarizing yourself with how we can use technology and computers to help us produce music. Naturally, there's plenty of other institutions here that cover the same thing. Once you have got through the first couple of years, you can start to branch out a bit more. So in the third and fourth year of your studies, you will generally have 3 streams to choose from, which are composition, music technology, and musicology. These 3 streams, generally you will do a major project at the end to decide what your degree is focused on. But when it comes to these 3 streams, they are also supplemented by many other modules in third and fourth year, which are more optional. You don't have to take all 3 streams, you just choose 1 or 2. So I'll just talk about them briefly. The composition stream is, of course, based around helping students develop their own compositional voice. And you will sit modules that are designed to make you think about the music that you are writing and the music you're producing yourself. These modules entail classical music, of course, but also more contemporary composition styles, particularly from the 20th century. There's a lot of focus on that. Also things such as contemporary opera as well. It's very much an art music kind of focus. There is the music technology stream then, where you get a bit more in-depth with using computer to produce music. We tend to use Logic as our main kind of digital audio workstation, so that's Mac-based, and we have a couple of computer suites that accommodate that. And then there's a musicology stream, and for anyone who doesn't know musicology, I like to describe it as philosophy and history of music. You can also think of it as music culture as well. So you can take modules in all these things, and they can be optional, but you will focus on one of these areas as the main sort of meat of your degree, if you want to put it that way. Aside from that, we have other modules which are optional every year and depend upon the teaching staff in the department at the time. But in the past, there's always a focus on film music. It's very popular right now, and there's almost always a film music module of some kind that you can sit. Sometimes there's composition for film, sometimes it's more history of film music. There's video game music modules, there's been popular music modules. We have conducting modules. We have a number of staff members who are very active conductors. We have choral techniques. And there's also a cross-department link with the drama and film departments so that you can, in fact, make your own film and provide the music and soundtrack to that. And students from all 3 departments can work together. So that's what we do in the School of Creative Arts in Trinity. We like to try and collaborate with each other as much as possible. Also, aside from that, we've got a few master's courses. That's Music and Mixed Media Technologies, which is much more of an in-depth music production course for composers, and an MPhil in composing, which is, again, more about developing a deeper understanding of your own compositional voice. In Trinity, we also have a Music Composition Centre, which is provides workshops and talks by composers and performers to help people develop their compositional voice. We have graduates who have gone on to pretty much every field that you can think of in music. And of course, there's many extracurricular, how would you put it, organisations in Trinity, such as choirs and orchestras, to help you get involved in music. And I'll be happy to take questions afterwards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated. And clearly, improvisation is a key thing there. I'd like to introduce our next guest, Mr. Pete Holliday, from the business music teacher from Ballyfermot. Yes, and I have to mention that the last time I saw this man was on stage last week at the Olympia with David Bowie's band singing All the Young Dudes. He's a hero of ours, so there you go.
I won't be singing it today, though. Can you do the slides for me? Nice one. Oh, good, I can see it. That's me. Well, Ballyfermot College has been going since 1979. It was originally the Senior College Ballyfermot, and some people still call it the Senior College Ballyfermot. We have a broad range of courses, but today I'm just going to talk about the music department, which at the moment we're sort of revamping and refocusing. Every 5 years we look at the course content. Like, for example, if we have a look at the floor there, the contemporary music performance is more commonly known as the rock school. So we're trying to sort of Matt Kelligan, who retired recently, and Eamon Brady's taken over. So we're beginning to refocus and rebrand it, not really as a rock school, but as basically a centre for contemporary music. In other words, if you're a rapper, you're welcome, So the four main courses there would be the Contemporary Music Performance, I can say, which is the rock school, Music and Event Management, which is the music business. So all four courses, we have a big emphasis on the business side because, ultimately at the end of the day, whichever your interest is, you're part of the overall music industry. And you have to be aware of its national and international capabilities. If you're a sound engineer, it's a global skill, that can be exported. Music production then, and also our Irish Traditional Music Performance course, which started up a couple of years ago. And I can't quite see the smaller. So. I look after the PMC QQI Level 4, which is like a foundation course, and it's a feeder then into the higher national diplomas. We also then have 2 in-house degrees. We have a media degree, which is a DCU sign-off on, and then more famously we have the animation degree at Dundee University, and the alumni there have had Oscar nominations and stuff like that, which we're very proud of. And I just want to quickly mention about our European project that we have every February. We were invited to partake with the Pop Academy in Mannheim, and we gather every February in Germany with universities, the Pop Academy in Germany, Leeds University, the Herman Brood Academy in Holland, the Fontes Academy in Swedish. We have a couple of Americans, and what happens is we have an international band camp. And we also then play this virtual reality business game where 24 hours is equal to 1 year of trading. And I think when you do 3 years of that, you know whether you want to stay in the music industry. So let's have a quick look at the content, please. Next one. So with Contemporary Music Performance, this is the new, from next year, we will be introducing these sort of new modules. And you'll see there, the main ones there will be obviously songwriting, which is essential skills that one has to learn. Professional development, we have to get into the whole performance side. It's all well writing songs, but being able to perform those, because a lot of the time, when you're selling music, you're selling the personality as much as the music as well. Improvisation. Hugh Buckley is an expert jazz musician, brilliant jazz musician. He will teach them sort of improvisation techniques, which I'm absolutely crap at. But anyway, what else do we have? Developing as an artist. And the big question I ask my students in music business is you've got to define yourself as an artist. I know exactly who I am, so who are you? And you're selling yourself. And I'm in an indie band. So what? Who cares? If you said I'm in a dub reggae, or I'm in a dub indie band, or a jazz folk, or whatever, it's just much more interesting. We'll keep going on. Sorry, because I've got a minute left. Okay, music and event management. This is really the music business course where we're still. I think the emphasis now is almost on. Funny enough, we're getting less demand for management at the very time we need it. So our emphasis has to switch almost like for the artists managing their own careers now. And the manager or the manager, whoever that is, has to look after all of the band's interests or the artist's interests, from recording, live performance, merchandising, and music publishing, of course. So you can see there, that's self-explanatory. Music and brands, why Ham Sandwich don't have Coleman's mustard sponsoring their tour, I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going. So with our music production, you can see it there quite clearly. It's get in, make a noise, and sell it, I think, at the end of the day. And finally, Irish traditional music. It is what it is. But the very, very important thing that they're introducing now is instrument making, which I find really, really interesting. So we cover from QQI Level 4 right through to a degree, and some people come in at different levels. So a lot of people come in and they just come in to do the degrees as well. And we rock, basically. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Pete. Next, I'd like to introduce from BIM, Carl Breen, Head of Theory.
Thanks, Martin. Hi, all. Thanks very much, Martin. Where are we now? So welcome to BIM. And apparently we're Europe's most connected music college. That's a very lofty, very ambitious statement to make, especially in the context of the company we're in today. Just to say, I'm sitting there listening to everyone else, and I'm really, really impressed by, and you guys should be as well, the quality and the range of courses available to you. It's absolutely amazing. So hopefully as I go on through this brief presentation, you'll see that that's quite an appropriate statement to make for us, and it's a very realistic goal for us. Just to give you a bit of a quick background, we're this kind of new kids on the block here. BIM started off in Brighton, 2005, quickly moved to Bristol, and then came to Dublin in 2011. And then we've moved into taking over all of Europe. So the BIM Hamburg will open next September. So I suppose going back to the original slide of being a very connected college, we are part of a network of colleges. And although we stand alone, in Dublin, and we have our own courses and our own validating partners, we are very connected with all the other colleges, and there are opportunities there for tutors as well, and for students. We send students over to perform at some of the other colleges' end of term gigs, and to go over and perform even in-house at their LPWs, their live performance workshops, and we have students from other colleges come and play at our gigs as well. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Okay. As Dr. McDonough mentioned earlier on, DIT are our validating partner. So although we're a relatively new college and quite small compared to some of the others, we've approximately 800 students, I think, at the moment in all of our courses. As a BIM student, you will also have all the benefits of being a DIT student, and all of the resources and supports and everything from the music library to the DIT doctor and medical centre, all that kind of stuff. So you have all of that behind you. We do have our own student support office in-house. We offer you have a huge provision for one-to-one tutorials, so we have all of that, but you also get all the benefits of DIT, which is quite exceptional. It's amazing. So just basically to go through the two courses which are probably of most relevance to all of you. We have our BA Honours in Commercial Modern Music. It's a 4-year course, heavily focused on performance. So although we will do music theory and business and all of those elements as well, there's a very, very heavy focus on performance. The degree course, the BA Honours course, is divided into streams. So when you apply for the course, you will nominate a stream, or you will audition in one of the streams: guitar, bass, drums, vocals and songwriting. A lot of the modules that you study in those individual streams are common to all, and then you'll have individual modules that will focus directly on your instrument. Along with that, we also offer a diploma course, a 1-year CPD diploma. A lot of people would like to take that diploma course just to try out see how it feels, see how they feel about BIM and about maybe a career in music. Maybe just to develop their instrumental techniques, their professional skill set, and we find that an awful lot of students who take the diploma course then move on to the BA course. Exceptional students will also have the opportunity for advanced entry into second year on the honours degree course. Okay, this is just a little graphic of representing all of the various areas that we can focus on, career pathways and that kind of thing. What we find is when people come through the door in BIM, they're usually very heavily focused on this big one on the left here, artists. But in actual fact, there are so many other things you can do in the industry. Personally, I think this graphic is probably a little bit outdated at the moment. Well, certainly in its weighting, I think the record company thing is getting more and more minimised now, and it's all about self-promotion and self-management and recording your own album and putting it out there in social media. So we do focus on that an awful lot in college. Just to say that all of our teaching staff in BIM, we're all current industry professionals. My primary goal is as a guitar tutor, and I've been a working musician for about 30 years. So that also feeds into the connectivity and the networking and all that kind of stuff. Okay, we run, I'm just about out of time. We run a huge program. Masterclasses are a very important part of what we do, and we have a list of some of the people who have come to visit us. So hopefully that's of some benefit to you all, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Carl. Next up, I'd like to introduce Dr. John O'Flynn, Associate Professor of Music at DCU.
Good afternoon, and thanks very much for coming out in such numbers. So, just to begin, I'm going to ask a question, our unique selling point: why study music at TCU? We believe ourselves to be a dynamic music division with multiple undergraduate offerings, which I'll come to shortly. We've also got a taught MA in music. For those of you that are interested in the MA, it's an MA in music in general, so that it can be done part-time over 2 years for people who are actually working in the music industry or in other professions and want to do that. The first year would have taught modules, and after that you can specialise in composition, in research, or in performance. Yeah, just to say that we have the location as well to sell that. We have numerous training locations where we're located in north central Dublin, which can be handy enough. I firmly believe in the importance of the student experience in university. So we have a really vibrant DCU Musical Society, which does not only include music students, and that's really important because I think you're making connections across the university, people on other programmes, and there's a wide variety of courses and options for people on that as well. So students run societies on stage musicals, open mic, jazz, choirs, trad rock and pop groups. Our staff are very active. We have two members of staff who are actually members of ASONA. As composers, we have people involved in our traditional music, professional choral conductors, singers, and in other fields as well. So it's very important for us to link the academic and the practical. And the music culture across the college is really important, with lunchtime concerts, with music festivals and numerous student-organised events. So again, this is really part of the DCU music student experience. International links include with the Berklee School of Music, that's associated with our jazz programme, and we also have a strong link with the Kodály Institute in Hungary from a more classical sort of oriented programme. And we have an annual Kodály summer school as well at the university. So the next slide, really, I'll let you read that to yourselves. And actually, a lot of the wording for this comes from a website called studymusicireland.ie. So along with many of my colleagues here in the front row, we worked on this website, studymusicireland.ie, where we worked on joint goals. What is it what are the reasons for taking a music degree? What are the developments? So, in addition to deepening your knowledge and skills of music, we're talking about the acquisition of transferable skills, and we're also talking about the development of the person, so individual and group values. And there's a promotional video as well that you can have a look at. So as I say, that's sharing the common goals of all of us in the front row who would love to see as many people as possible taking music in higher education. Our undergrad courses, so there are three main undergrad courses. There's music as part of a BA in humanities. So it's a joint honours and you do music with one other subject in humanities or social sciences. And you can see there the actual kind of courses that we have. So every student that takes BA in music, you would take composition, theory and applied techniques. Our musicology is very broad ranging. We would look at the historical study of classical music, but we also have modules in film music, ethnomusicology, popular music, Irish traditional music. So it's a very broad-based music degree. And also, a BA student, 20% of your degree would be performance. So no student can qualify with a music degree from DCU without having gone through at least 20% performance. The second degree listed there, for those who have a firm interest in secondary music teaching, is the Bachelor of Religious Education and Music, where music is your main subject, but you can also be qualified to teach music, very similar to a BMOZ. And again, the courses there are quite broad-ranging and prepare you for professional teaching at second level. And finally, on this slide anyway, our new programme would be the Bachelor in Jazz Contemporary Music Performance. So as many people might know, that actually was known one time as a New Park School of Music jazz programme, and that is now a 4-year programme. So it's a full music performance programme at DCU, and that prepares you for the professional world of music, primarily as an ensemble musician. So already many of the students from second and third year are actually working around. Okay. So finally, just to talk about DCU, that we would describe ourselves as a culture of promoting a culture of creativity, connectivity and inquiry. So there's two recent projects there. One is the Dublin Map, Popular Music in Dublin, which is a project I was involved in research. And if you are interested to come for consultations later, I have a free map if you're interested. And then one of our annual chamber music festivals, just to show the extent of our interest in music and music research. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you very much. Our next two speakers I'd like to introduce from the Sound Training College. We have Dr. Brian Carty, Academic Director at Sound Training College, and from the IADT, Jeffrey Perrin, Sound Art Lecturer and Coordinator of the Creative Music Programme at IADT. Thank you.
So first of all, just to thank Martin for arranging today. I think it's a great initiative. And also to say that it's great to see so many people interested. We would really encourage people to come to the open days, talk to us, ask us difficult questions. It's good, it's a real commitment, an undergraduate degree. We're here to talk about creative music production. It's a degree that's run with IADT, which is Dún Laoghaire Institute of Art, Design and Tech, and Sound Training, which is our facility in Temple Bar. I was looking at this last night and realised maybe it's not the best photo. We do have enough chairs for everybody. Key aspects of it. So what is it first? The creation and production of audio and music in a professional context. So what will you be doing if you choose to do this program? Working in our studios, working in our venues to create music for various media, I suppose, is the crux of the program. It's not a performance degree. Lots of our students are performers, but this is much more about the production of music. What's important about it, I think, is access to professional and commercial facilities. So we work out of the Button Factory in Temple Bar for a lot of the time. The studio's on the top floor there. It's great to be able to learn about live sound in an actual working venue. So we're very lucky in that way to have these facilities available to us, venues and studios. Opportunities to collaborate. So with working with IDT, they have a film department, a photography department, a visual communications department, animation department. So lots of our students on their bigger projects work with the animators to provide the audio for the animators and the music. It's a great opportunity. It's really, it really works. This cross-institute work. As I think there's a bit of repetition here, the idea of staff being both academic and industry is really important in our world, because we have people who've made albums for much of their life or worked as live sound engineers. Equally, we have people who study the depths and the research at the cutting edge. So Jeff, for example, has a lifetime of experience in the industry. I'm the kind of nerd who stays reading books in the library. So we've got that balance of staff, which we think is important. Small groups, so you might be in a group of 35 in a lecture in our course. We break it into groups of 6 or 7 for studio work. So you actually get hands-on time with these facilities we're talking about. Again, just the important things that we think people should be asking about at open days. We really think this idea of soft and transferable skills is really important. We thought a lot about it when we wrote the course. We thought a lot about what people might do after the course as well. And we think these are really important things for whatever career you might go into after your studies. Client-based projects means professional context. So as you may work in the real world, these projects you do are set up in such a way that they're hopefully the projects that you will meet once you finish college as well. Group work, we've got a really strong kind of core idea of group work in most of the CAs and the assessments we do. Yes, there's individual work, but also working with a group is really important, and there's a real sense of community on our campus, and I think it's because of these group projects that people do a lot of the time. Research skills then. You will be often in our course given a topic to go and research and come back and tell us about. In third and fourth year, you can choose your own adventure kind of thing where you choose a topic and run with it and work for the year under mentorship on an element of the course that you really like. It could be working with a band in the studio. It could be composing music for a film. It could be making your own guitar pedals. It could be making your own audio software. It's very broad what we do in terms of research and working towards your own, creating your own career, I suppose. Business and entrepreneurial skills play a big part in it. I think they're very important. We have music business modules throughout. And we have this interesting strand of audio coding as well. So our guys are currently making apps for their phones, little synthesizers and music apps. So we hope that we're very future looking in that sense as well. We think that's very important. Yeah, crucial in the modern working environment, I guess. We get an awful lot of frequent questions, I suppose, to try and answer what we get asked about most often. This is a degree that's between a private and a public institution. So the question comes up whether it's free fees or whether it's private institution fees. Thankfully, we're on free fees, so it's eligible for the grant as well. We can't take late applications. It's got the 1st of February is coming up very quickly. We can't take applications after that. You can't change your mind onto this course because we have a portfolio and an interview. So time is ticking on that one, I guess, if you're looking to study next year. The portfolio then, sorry, I'm just pretty much running out of time. We have a portfolio entry which maybe you could come and talk to us about. If you want to come and do this course, we can tell you about it. Direct entry is possible into second year, as with many courses here. Yeah, so I'm out of time. Thanks very much.
But I think we should. We'll just break our rules slightly, and Jeff, if you could keep it very tight.
I've got a couple of short points I wanted to make. The collaboration, intermingling of our courses is huge. So our third year students are doing all the grad sound for the graduating animation students in fourth year. In our third and fourth year students, as their major project, are doing location sound and all the post sound for the film students in fourth year. We work with photography, viscom, art. There's a lot of stuff going on, so it's a very sort of vibrant situation. And one quick point about the portfolio: it's a portfolio and an interview process. The interview process is nothing to be worried about. It's very friendly, very sort of organised. The portfolio is two options. The first option is 2 pieces of audio and a short description. The description is crucial in that. We want your thoughts on how you did it, why you did it, how you'd make it better. We want sort of ownership, enthusiasm, curiosity, and ambition in that kind of thing. The other option for a portfolio is a longer written piece. This is for people that don't have the sort of facilities to do their own audio. And that's a short piece on a label or an artist or a genre, something like that. And that has to be your own words and not sort of cut and paste. So we get a lot of questions, so I just wanted to say that. Thanks very much. Okay.
Before I introduce our next guest, I just want to, because I'm conscious of the fact that we've got a large audience watching this on live stream. The issue of mature students and people moving into postgraduates, for instance, masters or PhD programs, is also a key part of all of the institutions, the majority of the institutions you've seen today. It's particularly pertinent to me because I've worked in the music industry for a long time and was able to enter into Trinity because of something called recognition of prior learning, which I had never heard of before. It's something that I think is to be encouraged because it brings, I've noticed a number of people I know in the music industry who would never have seen themselves ever being brought into the academy, but because of the imagination that a number of the universities that we have and colleges here today have, it's just something to be mindful of. So I just wanted to send that message off. And with that very much in mind, I'd like to introduce you to our next speaker, Carl Corcoran, who you will probably know from his famed radio shows, but also who's now the course director, MA in Songwriting at the Irish World Academy of Music and Dance. Carl?
Thank you very much. It's a bit like Mastermind. The clock is ticking, so I'll keep talking fast. I'm probably the senior member of the panel here today, but I represent the baby in courses. It's the very first year of the Masters in Songwriting at the Irish World Academy, which is located in the gorgeous campus of Limerick University on the banks of the Shannon. The Academy was founded back in '94 by Professor Micheál O'Sullivan, initially as a research centre and as a centre of excellence for Irish music and dance. But over the last 20 years, it has expanded and broadened its remit and the inclusion of many relevant courses in both undergrad and masters. ethnomusicology, ethnochoreology, music therapy, festive arts, bachelor's in music performance, in song performance, in Irish music and dance, of course, and most recently the master's in songwriting. The introduction that I'd like to, well, Martin made reference to my radio career. You may remember me from The Blue of the Night, which was a late night radio program on Lyric, an eclectic mix of music, but was always a great platform for Irish singer-songwriters, Irish musicians of all sorts. So it was appropriate that when this course started that I would associate myself with it. I have a career, 40-year career in the business, initially as a singer-songwriter back in the black and white days of the 70s, and quite a bit of experience in America, some management experience there too. And a few issues, I might add, yeah, lots of them actually, but we survived. The Irish World Academy of Music and Dance is, as I said, on the campus of University of Limerick. The songwriting course, which is in its developing stage, we're just halfway through the course at the moment, just started semester 2, offers all of these opportunities in terms of workshops with some of the finest. You've already seen similar workshop facilities being offered by others. We also have an association with the Creative Writing Department at UL, which is headed by Professor Joseph O'Connor, and we work very closely with them in terms of creative writing, not only in music, but obviously in lyrical content. A very brief video to show you some of our appeal. Brand new one-year master's program here at the Irish World Academy, a taught master's. We offer the space for them to develop as songwriters, to find their voice, to do a little introspection, inspection and reflection.
For me, it's something I've always done intuitively and figured out as I went along. I also see the amazing opportunity in somewhere like this place. I think it's mainly the time and the opportunity to dedicate.
The facilities here at the Irish World Academy of Music and Dance are second to none. So it is a perfect opportunity to expand as a songwriter.
I unravelled my own writing process, which was actually quite interesting. For me, it was a real pleasure to have to do that, to reframe what you do every day. It's definitely not a one-sided thing. It makes you reevaluate what you do yourself.
A typical day at the Academy for songwriters would be 2-hour workshop in the morning and 2-hour workshop in the afternoon. And the Academy itself has such a vibrant social atmosphere that the engagement between faculties and between students from other departments is ongoing.
Talking through each of my songs step by step, some of the physical restrictions of the songs and why they're in a certain key. Then, you know, how I develop the songs and how they each one really sort of how I try to bring it somewhere.
We draw on the vast talent of Irish singer-songwriters. We've had Mick Hanley, Duke Special, Vivian Long, Chris Wood, Kathleen Turner. And a typical workshop is a very intimate, very relaxed environment, but it's an opportunity for the students to witness other processes and then reflect that in their own product.
The more you do something, the more the channels are opened up in your head. Like if you get rid of certain barriers like your modesty and your insecurities, the more and more you pack away at them, the less likely they are to impede you when you're trying to come up with something original.
Occasionally our songwriting tutors will not only provide the workshop facility but will perform in public, because now you see the creation of a song, how it was written, and then you see the performance of the song, and that's a long journey from start to finish. This is not only a journey for professional reasons, but it's a journey for personal reasons. The opportunity to sit back and to think and to take time out and to think about your talent, your art, and yourself is invaluable. Thank you for your time. I would be happy to answer any questions about the course itself and indeed the other undergrad courses that are available at the University of Limerick. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thanks, Carol. I'd like to introduce our next guest from Ream, Professor Deborah Kelleher, Director of the Royal Irish Academy of Music.
Good afternoon. I'm feeling very mellow and chilled out after Carl's fantastic video. The Royal Irish Academy of Music is a music conservatoire. We were founded in 1848, and our whole reason for being is the pursuit of excellence in classical music performance. So if you are interested in performing the music of your Mozarts, your Beethovens, your Brahms, your Schoenbergs, and music of today, this is the place for you. We're probably the closest college to this very meeting because we're located just down the road on Westland Row, and that's a picture of our door knocker, so feel free to knock on the door any time. As an institution, we're quite unique in the Irish context because we have an extremely broad educational pyramid. Some of you here today, or some of you watching, may have done our local centre exams. We've examined in music grades over 1 million musicians since our foundation. In the middle of this pyramid, we have 1,500 school-age children and actually college-age performers who come in and take weekly part-time lessons with us over 29 different instrument types and also the classical voice. And then at the top of this pyramid, we have 150 full-time students on access programs, diplomas, bachelor degrees, master degrees and doctorates. So actually you could go into the academy at the age of 4 studying pre-instrumental music and come out 25 years later with a doctorate. It's a fairly scary prospect, but it has been done, believe me. Performance is at the heart of what we do. If we take in only 150 full-time performers and composers, we do this in such small numbers because we expect them to have significant performing or composition degrees at the end of this. So the way that we train them to be confident in the industry is to get them out there and perform as much as possible and to the highest standards. So these are a few little things that we've done. We have the only third-level orchestra in the country, fully with third-level students. This is called the RIM Philharmonia, and it's part of a wider project of RIM Podium, the Centre for Performing Ensembles. So if you are an orchestral musician, you're going to get significant attention with international composers across a range of orchestral and operatic and early music repertoire. Our most recent performance was La Finta Giardiniera, and this was in the Samuel Beckett Theatre. It was an opera that all our singers sang in, directed by Ben Barnes. The last time we put on Finta, the cast have subsequently gone on to major international careers, making their debuts in the Metropolitan Opera in Covent Garden and on to various things. We're enormously proud of our graduates. We have some performances in America. We would perform with the Juilliard School of New York, the Guildhall School in London and the Liszt Academy. We benchmark ourselves against the best in the world because we want to know what the standard is so that we make sure our graduates meet it. What courses do we run? One of the most interesting ones is the Access course, because performing classical music is tough, it's detailed. So we have a 1-year post-Leaving Cert course. If you love music performance, but you're not sure you're quite ready for the standard of a performance degree, then this course could be the one for you. It appeals to school leavers, but also people who are coming back to music. And we had our auditions this week, and there's a woman who studied acting and now wants to develop her voice, and we're only delighted to be working with her on the Access programme. We have a diploma, a 1-year diploma, and then we have a bachelor degree in music performance, instrumental and vocal pathways, and also music composition. We have masters, recital artist diplomas, and the doctorate in music. We're an associate college of Trinity College Dublin. So all the degrees you get are accredited by Trinity College, and you also have access to Trinity's societies, the gym, and such wonderful aspects that are part of being this premier university. There's a lot of careers that you can have out of this. Yes, we're training you for the classical music profession, but a lot of our people have become composers. They've gone on to non-classical music. One of our current composition students is actually a member of the band called the Matthews, who are taking off like nobody's business in LA at the moment. Arts administrator, teachers, or something entirely different. The modules we have are performance, 2 hours a week with your teacher. This is more time than you get in any other conservatoire in the UK or Ireland. You have chamber music, you have large ensembles, but we have something called RAM Holistic, the working musician. This is where we teach you about contemporary music, pedagogy, working in collaborations, because when our graduates leave, we want them working in the field, leading the field, and being as passionate about classical music as our faculty are. Thank you very much for your time. I'd love to speak to you, and we'll be there at our desk after this speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deborah. Our second last speaker is Dr. Anne-Marie Hanlon, Programme Director from the Department of Creative Arts, Media and Music at Dundalk.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for coming today. I'm here to talk about music at DKIT, where at present we have 2 level 8 undergraduate degrees, the BA in the production of music and audio and the BA in applied music, of which I'm Programme Director, but I lecture a bit on each course. So both degrees would be quite practical, quite creative, and also quite theoretical in nature, but they're very different in terms of the content covered. So I'm just going to explain the main differences between those 2 degrees today. So the BA Honours in the production of music and audio will cover a wide range of subjects that would primarily prepare you to have a career working in live sound or working in studio sound. So you can see there courses such as musicianship for the producer, really important, especially if you would love to be a music producer. We do things such as arranging piano and strings in order to help you be better in the studio in working with various bands and artists. Of course, you'll study recording, including all digital audio workstations. We primarily work with Pro Tools. Also MIDI, microphone applications, acoustics, and of course you'd start most of these subjects in year 1 and they'd build in complexity over the 4 years. In addition to then you'd study popular music cultures, the history of music and audio production, because we have a great deal to learn by looking at the great producers of the past and what they did. In addition to music business for producers, which is of course incredibly important because most producers are self-employed. In fact, most people in the music industry are self-employed, so it's a really important part of the course as well. Moving on to the BA Honours in Applied Music. This course would be much more oriented towards performers, particularly people in either of the above 3 genres: contemporary music, that would be pop, jazz and musical theatre; traditional Irish music; classical music. So you do those 3 genres for the first 2 years, and then you'd specialise in one of them for the final 2 years. In addition to that, you'll do music history and analysis of Western art music and popular music and jazz music throughout the 4 years. And then you have a choice then in year 3 and 4 of specialising in music education, music technology, composition, ethnomusicology. And in addition to that, then you you have an array of things to choose from. You can follow your interests. You can either do musical theatre, sound design, musicology, music and business, various subjects like that. So it's quite a broad range degree overall. Just to let you know, I suppose one of the great things about these 2 music degrees is that they're based in the Department of Creative Arts, which makes them kind of unique in what we can achieve, in that we have all the other students doing degrees in BA Honours in film and TV, also in theatre and in film and TV production. And so because of that, there's an awful lot of cross-collaboration at undergraduate level within the department. And for example, a lot of my performance students would go into the TV studio and they'd so the film students would get to practice live recording and the music and audio production students would get to practice working on live sound, while the performance students would get to work on what it's like to actually do a real life recording in a TV studio. So there's a lot of that kind of cross collaboration happening. And so we have amazing facilities such as we have 4 recording studios, a mastering suite, electronic production suite, edit booths, 80 plus Pro Tool Lab workstations. So we've got a lot of facilities, and the majority of them are open to students 6 days a week. In addition to that, we have a wonderful theatre on campus called the McGanna Theatre, where a lot of live performances would take place, and actually some of the contemporary music performance classes just take place there all the time. So that just means that students, get to actually practice in a real life situation with a real PA setup, and to work on their stage skills as they work on their on improving their performances and their arrangements of songs as well. In addition to that, we would have a lot of group rehearsal rooms, solo rehearsal rooms. We're in a really big building. You've probably all heard of PJ Carroll's cigarettes. It's the former cigarette building is basically now the Department of Creative Arts, and it's just a massive building with an awful lot of space, and that's one of the fantastic thing about our location. In addition to that, then, of course, we film in TV studios and live sound facilities as well on campus. And so in terms of graduate jobs, graduates can go on to do an awful lot of things in a wide variety of areas of the music industry, and we love to have those students back and come often speak as part of our visiting guest series, which happens every week, where students get to hear about potential careers in music as well. And so it's a very exciting department, very diverse, and if any of you are interested in any of these degrees, I'd be more than happy to speak to you afterwards. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Annie. Okay, so we'll finish up with our questions, with our presenters, with Professor Christopher Morris, the Head of Music at Maynooth University.
Thank you very much, Martin. And good to see so many people here today. I'd be happy to start the video now. I'm going to say 3 things about Maynooth, and I'm going to very briefly highlight 3 degree programs I think you might be interested in. The first thing I want to say, we're not quite there yet with the video. First thing I want to say is that Maynooth is Ireland's only university town. Now, why do I mention that? We think that the learning environment is very important. We think that the kind of environment that we're able to offer in Maynooth is conducive to the very best in learning. It's a really pleasant and livable environment in which to study. But despite that self-contained quality, it's only 25 kilometres from Dublin, and it has excellent transport links to the rest of the country. We're the largest university music department in the country. Why does that matter? Partly because it means that we have a very large teaching staff, 12 full-time lecturers, and 45 part-time tutors, and because of that number, we're able to offer a huge range and breadth in terms of the kind of interests we can cater to. The size of the department also allows us to offer a tremendous range of music-making opportunities, everything from the tiniest ensembles of duets, and trios and quartets to very, very large ensembles, including our choral society and a new orchestra initiative in partnership with Music Generation. Third point I want to make is that we value the musical disciplines of performance, composition, music technology, and the academic study of music history and theory equally. So what we do is in first year we introduce you to all of these, give you an opportunity to develop interests which you can then go on to cultivate in second and third year. By the time you get to third year, you can concentrate in one of those areas and work toward a final project in that area. We've recently undergone a complete revision of our curriculum. We're very proud of what we're able to offer. I encourage you to go on to our website and check out some of the options there. It's got all the details. It's even our website even has a video of me if today isn't enough of an exposure. Finally, I just want to say something then about 3-degree programs. The BA in music, you typically combine music with one other subject, so you start with 4 subjects in the first year and you narrow that down in second and third year to 2. Our BA in music technology, which you can now actually for the first time combine with the BA, so you can have as your 2 subjects music and music technology. And finally, for the real music specialists, our BMUS, which is all music all the time for the 3 years of the degree. Just to say, we've got 4 taught MA programs in composition, creative music technologies, musicology and performance in musicology, and then corresponding programs at PhD level to follow on from that. I'd be delighted to take any questions later on, and thank you very much for your time.
That was great. Thank you very much. So we'll take some questions and answers. I just want to thank everybody for coming in this morning. It's not easy on a Saturday morning, and it's just really, really good. So we have Grace and we have Ben with microphones. So if anybody has any questions you'd like to ask, just put your hand up and we'll get started. There's a question there, Ben, if you just nip up. And if you can, I'll keep an eye on the panel, so if it's an open question, we'll work it out.
Sorry, it might be a very obvious question. I come to this very fresh, no idea about any of these courses. But it wasn't clear what ones you needed to be a musician for and not. So what the entry requirements, as in what ones you needed to actually.
And that's an excellent question. So why don't we just start from we have people from BIM, so. And it's also important maybe to tell us if there's a particular grade or whether how it's examined. We'd keep it nice and quick, but it's a good question.
Yeah, in terms of a BIM, coming in for as a musician, there's an audition process, and so there's a half an hour audition which will go through various parts of your chosen discipline, whether it's drums, guitar, bass, vocals, or songwriting. Then in terms of the music production, I'm not quite sure. We'll have the information if you want to come over and check there, but. It's just an audition process.
Pass the mic on.
Our program is music production, so no, it's a Leaving Cert Plus portfolio.
So that's good. That's great. Makes sense. Ola?
Hi, in the DIT Conservatory, you have to do an audition process, which is followed then by a music entrance test. So those 2 are assessed. You can come in with kind of around a grade 7, grade 8. Level of performance and a lot higher, and then you can choose to go whichever direction after that. So you don't have to stay focusing on performance if you prefer to go to one of the other options, but you do have to clear that before you get in. And I have information, a sheet for anybody who wants to take one outside.
For the Pulse BA in music production, we are looking for the usual 2 honours and 4 passes from Leaving Cert, plus a portfolio of work. And that can be performance-based, or it could actually be your own attempts at recording and production. We are also looking for grade 5 or equivalent in music theory. So if you haven't taken a formal grade 5 theory with the academy or something like that, on the day of the interview we do an oral training and a music theory test, which takes about 20 minutes or so.
Thank you.
Thanks. At Dundalk, for the applied music course, you don't need any formal training. You don't need to be able to read music, but what you would need is certain musicianship skills and definitely an ear for music. So we do an audition, but it's really to test your musicality and your musical potential, as opposed to have you reached grade 5 or 6 at the moment. And in terms of the applied the music and audio production degree, no, you don't need any prior knowledge, and you learn a lot of musicianship as part of that course. We'll teach you keyboard skills and teach you music theory and harmony and things like that as part of it.
Great question, thank you. So to work with the 3 programs I mentioned undergraduate for the BA Jazz and Contemporary Music Performance, yes, that is, I suppose, a musician entry course, and it's based entirely on audition. For the Bachelor of Music and Religious Education, which goes for secondary teaching, there's a theory test which would basically be at the level of the Leaving Cert Music, and there's an expectation there of maybe an upper intermediate level in performance, because it's a requirement of the Teaching Council that the person teaching music performs music. For the BA Music generally, we admit people who, what we say generally advise is that if you have an intermediate level in any instrument or style, and we have a very basic entrance test that again is at the Leaving Cert musicianship level. But we've had people who've come in with lower than intermediate, but because they've engaged with music, we've really encouraged that. So we're more interested with the BA in how a person engages and progresses as a musician. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. For Maynooth, for the BMAS, we interview and audition, so the entrance is determined that way. For the BA, you can pursue performance as part of the BA if you have grade 6 standard or above, or you can audition when you arrive in September, so that's a second option. There are also options within the BA that don't require prior qualification or experience in performance. BA Music Technology is quite different. The emphasis there is more on maths of the Leaving Cert. There's no requirement for Leaving Cert music for the BA Music Technology.
Great. Pete?
For Ballyfermot College, if you're school leaver, you need 2 honours for the H&D programmes, plus an audition for musicians or a portfolio if you're a sound engineer. For the QQI, it's 5 passes. You can also gain entry if you're 21 or over as a mature student, because quite a lot of our courses is a nice blend between school leavers and mature students who sort of get back into education. They travelled a bit.
In terms of music, though, is there an exam?
Yeah, it's an audition-based, yeah.
Great. Carl?
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Pete. For the MA in songwriting, the answer is yes and no. There is an undergrad requirement, although, as Martin alluded or mentioned earlier on, mature students have a pathway to the programme. In fact, one of my students this year is a 66-year-old singer-songwriter who's come in with life experience as his qualification. But yes, there's an interview, and yes, there's an audition involved.
Brilliant. If you haven't joined the Academy at 4, Deborah?
If you haven't joined the Academy at 4, forget it. No, we take in small numbers, and we do have an interview, an audition, and a written test. So at bachelor level, you really have to be very advanced. So we're talking grade 8 plus in performance, probably grade 6 plus in theory. The access course is different though. We had one candidate this week who auditioned, and the voice was so amazing. He scored 7 out of 100 in the written test, which is not very good. And he is going to get extra work for us because this is a world-class voice. So what we're listening to is the audition. And if you show commitment and you show talent, then we're going to work with you to get the rest of it up.
Brilliant. Cormac?
Hi. In Trinity, the music course is actually primarily theory-based rather than practical-based. So that means that you don't technically have to be a practicing musician to apply for the course and to get into the course. What we do have is an entrance exam, which usually takes place around the end of March, start of April time. And the entrance exam is mostly testing your kind of basic knowledge of music. There are some music theory questions on it, so it's good to have a basic knowledge of that. The most important part of the test is the oral part of the test, So we really want to make sure that you've got an ear for music. That's the most important thing to us, probably. And after the exam, there is also an interview. But I must stress that it's not an audition. You will not be asked to perform or play music. The interview very much will be looking at how you did on your test and maybe asking you questions about various aspects, various parts where you may have done well or done badly.
So it's in keeping with the rest. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. So you mentioned that your question may be obvious, and we had not planned that every speaker would have to answer any question. So that's made us a little bit tight for time, but great. That was a really, really good point. Another question, if we hop up there, we can... And again, if there's specific ones, you can have a chat with everybody inside, and also we're getting questions online.
At the moment, the University of Limerick is the only university doing music therapy, and I was just wondering if there's any other colleges intending in Dublin to start one or a foundation one, because, or if not, are any of the courses suited to, I have a child with special needs and a degree in psychology, and I'm a singer, and I want to find a way to access his life, I suppose, so work with him or children like him, and I can't go to Limerick because it would just be too difficult.
Okay.
We have a, can you hear me? Yeah. We have in the academy, we've just hired a music therapist. Now she's working with clients with a range of special needs, so she's actually a teacher. Because we really want to expand the diversity of people who can come into the academy and love music. We're looking at the starting stages of looking at a music therapy degree, but we're not there yet. But she will be doing masters, yes. She will be doing short courses on this and ways in which people can explore what music therapy is. So if you look at our website, www.ram.ie, or meet me afterwards, we can stay in touch on that.
Thank you very much. Cormac?
Just in Trinity, we have this kind of weird two course option called two-subject moderatorship, which means that you can actually take two separate degrees and get a sort of major-minor degree in both. Now, you can therefore combine music with psychology, and we do actually have a fair amount of people who will come to Trinity and take music and psychology as a TSM because they're specifically aiming towards being music therapists or that kind of field. But generally the people who do that will focus more on the psychology side because, as far as I'm aware, in order to be recognised by the Psychology Bar of Ireland or something, you have to have a 4-year degree. So generally, if you do the TSM option, you'll do 3 years in one subject and 4 years in the other. So the people who want to do music therapy do 4 years in psychology so they can be recognised by the association or whatever it is. Okay?
Can I just ask?
Yeah.
There is on your website a Masters in Music in Education.
Yes.
Specifically angled towards special needs education?
Yeah, the Masters in Music Education is the Summer Masters. Yes, that's a partnership between Trinity and the Academy. And it is a summer masters. You do it in blocks. They have modules that would have that would address aspects of that, but it wouldn't be a specific music therapy one. But it could be a very good masters for you because you could explore your special interest. There is scope in that to learn certain skills and then explore something that's a specialism. The closing date for that isn't until the summer.
Great question. I have no doubt that we'll see a rise in this. Do we have time for one more question? And we'll probably move
follow on from that lady's question. Actually, how many of these colleges are accessible for children with physical disabilities, and have any of them actually gone through the programme?
Okay, can we take that? That's a very good question. So we just take that one, and we keep the answers because it's kind of a yes and a no.
Yeah, BIM is, we fall under the here and there disability program, so we absolutely do take students with disabilities. I know that there's a certain amount of allocation, certain student allocation per year, and that all goes through DIT.
But in terms of facilities, that was the question.
Well, actually, there's facilities already where disabilities you can't actually do.
Okay. Maybe if you want to come speak to us outside, either we can give you any information that we have, or we can put you in touch with someone more in the college who'd be able to.
It's a good question. We'll just answer them as we go through. Brian?
Yeah, we're in a similar position, and we have got students, and we're absolutely accessible. So
great. Paula?
Similarly, DIT's Disability Office works with all the individual schools to make sure that there are individual accommodations and plans set up for everybody. So if there's ever an issue, for example, we're in certain buildings are quite old. Accommodations are made and timetables and spaces are rearranged to make sure that everybody has access. And we have both juniors and third level and beyond who would fall in this category. So there's always a chance to work that out if there's any block that you're seeing. So
great. Ken?
Unfortunately for us, in Pulse and Windmill Lane, we are in a listed building, and as much as we would like, we have problems in terms of trying to actually get lifts into the building. We don't have any lifts in the building at the moment, and unfortunately, because the building is listed, we won't have that facility. So. Okay. But we can talk later, and we can, to date we haven't had any problems, but we can talk on an individual basis.
Great, later. And we just keep this nice and tight.
Yeah, absolutely. All facilities at DKIT are wheelchair accessible, and we've had a wheelchair student come through the music and audio production degree, and any doors that were not yet wheelchair friendly are all now in response to that.
Yeah, it's clear out.
Yes, obviously, officially through Disability Office and Access Office, we do in our facilities for music performance and for music classes. But could we improve on it? Yes, we could. Again, some of the listed buildings, it's quite difficult to get a lift up to that. So it's an ongoing process. But broadly, yes.
Great.
At Maynooth, we do also have a number of listed buildings, and we're having to work individually to facilitate access in those cases. But pleased to say that the teaching spaces used by the music department are accessible.
Pete?
Yeah. All three buildings in Ballyfermot are compliant, and we welcome wheelchair students. Occasionally I had to tell them to slow down a bit because we have a speed limit sometimes,
Move along.
Yes, UL is 100% compliant, has a disability office, and similarly with the Irish World Academy. In fact, one of my applicants for 2018-19 is a non-binary transgender with a disability, and we are fully compliant.
Yes, the Academy has an access officer. We are compliant, and we're even doing enhancement works over the summer for that.
In Trinity, we are in a 200-year-old building at the front of the college. The only teaching department is actually still at the very front of the college. So it is a listed building, but there is actually a lift that was put in just over the last year. It took about 6 months longer than they said it would, naturally. So most of the building is actually accessible. But I can't say that all the building is the top floor. I think still is kind
but
of.
But you're attending to, which I think is the general consensus. Everybody is engaged with making their buildings.
Yeah, they're working on trying to make it more accessible, basically.
Great question. Yeah. Really, really good. All right, so we're going to wrap up now. So here's the plan. I just want to, first of all, we just thank everybody for coming in. If we just give another quick round of applause. So. This will take 2 seconds. What we're planning with Signal is that we're going to do monthly series of events. We have the next 2 events planned for March and April. I'll just tell you a little bit about those. I think they may show, you might not be able to see it. So effectively what we're doing on the 9th of April, I think it's Friday the 9th of April, we have the head of product design from Ableton coming in from Berlin to discuss and be interviewed by me about the release of Ableton 10, and that's a very, very exciting development. If anybody's interested, we'll be having that here. And then on May the 17th, we have Generic People, which are 2 VJs from Cork, who you may know, they have their own stage at Electric Picnic, and they will be discussing immersive visual content, and we'll also be having a workshop. If you're a little bit more technical part, we'll be looking as well is a Resolume 6 and discussing how you, for instance, create you VJ with DJing, or how you do live performance with videos in your music, and the rest we will announce monthly. So many thanks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjourn to the studios next door, where you can actually have a chance to have a chat with all of these great people who've come along this morning. Thank you all very much.
What day was the DJ's program?